Good morning, good morning. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Passion, Purpose, and Possibilities. Hope everyone is doing well today. How's your Friday going? How's your week going? Excuse me. I always get this cough the last couple days and it popped right up just as I'm about to go live. But oh well. So hope everyone's doing well. What have you been doing today? What has your week looked like? How are you going to finish this week off strong? What are you doing today and tomorrow to make next week better? So, as always, this episode is brought to you by Ingersoll Enterprises. And there's a lot of great things coming on Ingersoll Enterprises /events. And we have a virtual summit, virtual and in person, a hybrid summit coming up July 29th. The live portion will be at the Little America Hotel in downtown Salt Lake, and also virtual, of course. So go there, ingersollenterprises.com /events to find more details, and more details will be coming more or soon as well. So I'm very excited for that. Excuse me. I'm excited for our guest today. He's an executive director with the John Maxwell team. He has the highest training in the areas of leadership and many tools to help your company succeed. He began his leadership career in his mid-20s at a large medical corporation. Over the 24 years since then, he's worked in nonprofit sector recruiting, developing and maintaining teams of volunteers. Excuse me. Come on. He's spoken to global audiences on leadership, faith, and team building issues. Been married to his wife, Jennifer, for over 25 years and has 3 amazing children whom he loves dearly. When not speaking and training on leadership, he enjoys camping. Ooh, we got a lot of common there. Trying new recipes and volunteering with several nonprofits. I'm excited, and without further ado, please help me welcome Ken Noble. Ken, how are you?
Hey, Kenny. Doing good. How are you?
I am doing fabulous. I got this cough that
Fantastic.
seemed to creep up right before I went live, but I am doing fabulous.
It happens. It happens. Man, I don't like the way I look on my virtual background, so I'm just going to switch it up. On the back porch today. I've got to take my daughter to work here in a little bit, so I decided to do it from the home instead of the office. So I hope that's okay with your viewers. I hope they're not too professional that they can't handle a little from home interviews.
Nope. I'm in my home office every week mostly, so
Yeah.
it works. And I like right off the start how you decided to change it up when it felt for you, even as something as simple as your background. You didn't ask permission
Yeah.
from anyone else or whatever. You're just like, this doesn't feel right for me. I'm gonna mix it up.
Yeah, well, I just, I want to present myself in the best light possible, and so um, I don't have a green screen here on the back porch, and so it just didn't look right, and you know, so well, I'm really excited. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here. I was challenged by one of my mentors to be on 100 podcasts this year to just to add value wherever I go to serve people and to get my story out. So that's kind of why I'm here. So I'm gonna take my readers off. I'm not reading anything.
Awesome, I love it. Um, so yeah, let's start off with what drew you to the John Maxwell team.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's an easy answer with a little bit of a backstory. John Maxwell was the first personal growth and development book that was given to me by one of my mentors, gosh, probably 25 years ago, 20 something years ago. And it was the 17 Laws of Teamwork. And man, I was enamored by it. So I started buying as much John Maxwell as I could. started buying Ken Blanchard books, Malcolm Gladwell. Just a plethora of anybody in leadership that I could 25 years ago, and started listening to podcasts. And so there came a time in my career where I was kind of a self-made man. I didn't have the college education. I didn't have the seminary degree. I was in pastoral ministry for a long time. And my direct report asked me, he goes, Ken, what would you do for yourself? What ways can you improve yourself? And I'm like, well, dude, I read books all the time. I mean, what more do you want? But I got to thinking about it. I was like, it'd be really cool to have some certifications to hang on my wall. So I was thinking about marriage counseling certifications. But for me, my niche and my real gift and strength has always been leadership training and development. And I'd heard about the John Maxwell team. And so I looked into it and decided that was what I was going to do. My wife and I prayed about it, and I took the plunge and invested the money that I didn't have. And in August of 2017, I was certified. In March, no, it's probably closer to June of 2018, I joined the mentorship program. And then I think it was in March of 2019, I jumped into the executive director program. And so, I launched my business in 2017, went full-time in 2019. And so that's kind of how I got connected with John Maxwell team.
That's awesome. I love that. And what you mentioned your wife in your comment just now, and also in your bio here. What role, what impact, what difference has it been to have such a partner, to have someone right by your side?
So my wife and I are very, very different individuals. I am very much a high D. If you're familiar with the DISC personality temperaments, I'm a very much a high D, a type A personality. I like to get things done, conquer mountains. I'm kind of a bulldozer, especially early on when I was younger. And my wife is quite the opposite. She's more laid back. She's more chill. She just is a lot more contemplative. She likes her security. And so through the years, she's really helped me see things from a different side and a different perspective. She was one of the first people that helped me to realize that just because people didn't do it my way didn't mean that it was the wrong way. She really helped me to understand that as long as they get the job done, just because they don't do it the way that you do it doesn't mean that it's done wrong. It's just done different. And, just through the years, she's really said, I agree that you need to go get some leadership certification. Yeah, let's do this thing. And, in 2019, right when I went full time with my business, it was a struggle. And, every entrepreneur thinks that it's going to be easier than it is for others, that it's not going to happen to me. Hit a really, really bad rough patch. And then in 2020, we ended up moving across the state of Texas, which would be across the country for most people. And ended up here in Waco. And man, it was the pandemic, right? I'm a leadership trainer and developer, and I can't get into rooms. Everything was shut down. And I ended up getting a job. And every day I got it for this job, and it was just miserable. It was every day I heard in my soul, you can work hard to build your dreams, or somebody will work hard, or somebody will pay you to work hard to build theirs. And what ended up happening for me is I ended up talking to my wife about it. She's like, you're killing yourself with this job. You're not 25 anymore. They're not paying you what they said they were. Just go pursue your dream. Go do what you were called to do. And so I worked a job for a week, quit my job. And then the next Monday, I said, okay, let's do this thing. I joined the local chamber and started getting involved in networking groups, and just started rebuilding my business here in Waco. And man, since that time, I've just seen a lot of growth, and had a big accident in July, and my wife's been right beside me. She's been a fantastic caregiver, helping me grow and get better and healthier all the time, supporting me and doing what I do. And while she works full time, and she's getting her master's degree. So, she's not a slacker either. She's just different than I am.
Doing it her way, right?
Yeah.
And that brings up the illustration, of, even though it may not be her dream per se of what you're doing, she has the trust and the faith in you to support you and vice versa. And I think that is like it's a make or break kind of thing. Excuse
Oh,
me.
absolutely. Absolutely. If you don't have a good support system, not just your spouse, but the other members of your family, community that you surround yourself with, getting involved in the right community is key. You become like the five people you surround yourself with. I mean, that's kind of a cheesy catchphrase, but it's true. If you want to be successful as an entrepreneur and a business owner, business leader, you need to surround yourself with successful business owners, entrepreneurs, and business leaders. You just have to. You gotta surround yourself with people that pour fire on the passion of your dream and not buckets of water. You got to eliminate the negatives and the negative people in your life that are trying to prevent you from living the life that you feel called to live.
Yeah, and another quote that I hear often and stuff, and this applies to that is, your support doesn't have to believe what you're doing. They just have to believe that you believe in what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think that they need to have a little bit of both for sure, but definitely they need to believe in the person, right? They need to believe in you. But it also helps if they believe in what you're doing and catch the vision for what you're doing, because then they can become a cheerleader outside, right? It's great if they're a cheerleader inside and going, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. I believe in you. But when they believe in what you're doing, they can tell other people, hey, Ken is doing this thing and it's amazing and it's great and it's awesome. And so having people that believe in what you're doing to me is just as important as having people believing in me.
Yeah, absolutely and stuff, and and I was also just emphasizing the point that their dream doesn't have to be on the same path as yours and stuff, but they can still believe in you and believe that you're going to go for your dream and stuff, and still make a great team. Even if you're pursuing slightly different dreams or different approaches to the same dream, even. But and that ties right over to the next thing. How to become a leader of leader and knowing when to step up in the leadership role and when to step down and take the supportive role, because um, in business, in life, in marriage, and whatever other relationships, it's back and forth quite a bit. So how do you know when to take that leadership role and when to step back and let someone else step into that leadership role?
Yeah. For me, being a good leader means that you walk in humility, and understanding that some people may have other strengths than you that are complementary, not necessarily what's the word, competitive to you. And so whether you're a part of a large team, a large staff of leaders, or if you're leading an organization or a Facebook community or whatever it is that you're doing, learning how to um, learning how to assess the situation and realizing your strengths and your weaknesses, you can lead from a second or third seat position, right? Without having to be the person in front, adding value at every level. There are times when I'll just be honest, if we're going somewhere, my wife's the better driver. Let her drive. I don't have to be the man that drives us everywhere. And we have an understanding. If you want me to drive, you can't complain about my driving because I understand you're a better driver than I am. Yes, right. But I mean, it's the same way in whatever organization or group you're a part of, right? If there's something that your group is trying to market or get sponsorships for, in a nonprofit world, like a committee that you're on or whatever, know what your lane is and volunteer to serve in that lane, right? You don't have to be the upfront leader all the time, and that takes a lot of wisdom. It takes a lot of humility. If you're young, if you're a young leader, man, you want to show everybody that you can do it, right? There's that arrogance that you've got to prove yourself and all of those kind of things. And so if there's young leaders out there, you don't have to prove anything. Just do what you're good at, and it'll promote you'll get promoted. It reminds me of a proverb that says that the gift makes way for the giver. And it doesn't. If you've got a gift, it'll make room for you. You don't have to prove yourself all the time. You just do what you do well enough at the level you're at, and the promotion will come when it's needed.
Absolutely, I love that. Just be the best version of you, and the like you said, the promotions will come, the proof, if you will come automatically. It's like the phrase again: actions speak louder than words. You don't have to be in the spotlight all the time and say me, 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 me for people to know what your position is.
Absolutely.
Excuse me. And that goes right into making the change. Everybody says they want to change the world, but how do we do that? Just I think that's a great example. Just by changing yourself, you start with yourself, and then
Exactly.
the circle of five or whatever, and then the room you're in, and it just grows from there. You help someone else improve and be better in their lane, and they're gonna go help
Yeah.
more people, and you're gonna change the world, even if it's one person at a time. And you never know how.
100%.
I mean, you know, six months ago, we didn't know that we would be connected today.
Right. For sure.
Excuse me. Um, what there are several different types of leaders, and we covered this a little bit. And how do you know what kind of leader you want to be, or you are, or where your lane is? Because when you start in the role of leadership or start in anything,
Yeah.
you think your lane is over here, but as you go, you
Yeah.
find it might be a little bit over to the left, or a little bit
Yeah.
narrower, or even a little bit broader.
Yeah. I think that's a multifaceted question. Are you hired into this leadership position? Because if so, you've kind of got this expectation, and you're starting out at the base level of leadership where you're a positional leader. People follow you because they have to, right? And you kind of have to gain influence and work your way up the 5 levels of leadership that John Maxwell talks about. Are you familiar with those? Have you heard about those,
I
the
have,
five
yeah.
levels of leadership? Yeah. And so, it's you start off at the positional level, then you get to the permission level where people follow you because they want to. Then you get to the productivity level where people follow you because of what you're doing and how you're producing. Then the next level is people development, right? Where people follow you because they know that you're going to develop them and equip them and empower them. And then finally, number 5 is the pinnacle level. And very few people ever reach that, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't attempt it. And so that's kind of understanding that anytime you step into a leadership role, you're starting at level 1, and anytime you move to a different organization, you're always starting at level 1. But there's different types of leaders that you can take some assessments online where you can discover if you're a transitional leader, you're a champion leader. They've got all these different little things. There's the personality temperament test that I use in my coaching programs, where I do growth assessments utilizing the DISC. Are you familiar with DISC, Kenny?
I've heard of it, but please remind me.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, the DISC is one of the oldest personality assessment tools. It's been around since the 1920s. It's one of the foremost utilized assessment tools in companies and organizations. There's a lot of different ones out there. Most of them can trace their roots back to the DISC. Some people take the DISC assessment and then give it their own spin. Maybe it's what type of pie are you, or there's just all kinds of ones out there, but they're pretty much all rooted in the DISC. And the DISC is basically, there's 4 personality types. You have the D, which is the driver and the dominant personality style. You've got the I. These are the includers and the influencer styles. You have the S. These are the stable and secure styles of people. And you've got the C's. These are the correct and compliant styles of people. And within who you are and the way you're made, you have all 4 of these temperaments. Some are just higher than others, and depending on what job you have, what it is that you're working on, your wiring kind of takes precedence. And so For me, last time I took one, I was a DC, which means I'm very task oriented. I like procedures. I like to do things, certain ways. I like systems and approaches, but I also like to make quick decisions. I don't need a ton of information to make that decision. And so other people, they're just opposite wired. So like an S is kind of opposite of a D. They like the more secure roles. They like consensus. They want to make sure that everybody's okay with what they're doing. They're a little bit more passive aggressive. They're not quick to move, and then you've got the I style, which is the opposite of the C style. I's typically are very outgoing, super social. They love people. They want to include everybody. Whereas a C style, they're kind of more introverted, a little bit more data collecting, and so all of that works into play as to kind of what your strengths are and how you lead. Another great tool is the Strength Finder assessment. Basically, it gives you the top 5 strengths that you have out of like a huge list of like 35. And that goes back to the, work from your strengths zones, and that'll help you find your sweet spot. So, I mean, there's all kinds of things out there, and if people are interested in a growth assessment, I mean, I offer that. They can reach out to me, and I can definitely help them, kind of discover the way they're wired and what their strengths are and ways that they can grow and how they fit in with teams, how they communicate. That growth assessment report's really, really all inclusive in a lot of ways. It's why I use it with all my coaching clients.
Awesome. And do you find that changes based on time and age and growth and circumstance?
Absolutely. I mean, we're fluid creatures, right? We're always bringing in new information, processing it, adding it to what we know. We're growing in wisdom. We're learning from our mistakes. We're failing forward. And so early on, when I was younger, I was definitely a high D. Didn't work on any of my weaknesses. I just made things happen. Over the years, I've grown in wisdom. I have a lot more understanding. I'm a lot more soft. I'm a lot more inclusive. Right. I recommend that people take a DISC assessment about every 3 to 5 years. And if you transition to a new job, take one after the first year, because when you step into a new role, things change and different aspects of your personality have to come to the forefront. A prime example is I have a company that I'm working with, and I've been working with them for several years, and we're going through a second round of leadership training. They've added some new leaders in some different roles. One lady was promoted to a different role than what she was in, and her DISC profile is similar, but definitely different than what it was 2 years ago. She stepped into more of a supervisory role, and so her includer, her influencer aspect of her personality has really risen to the top, and it's now her forefront, which before it was not even one of her top 2. It was, she had some of that, but it wasn't one of her major attributes to her personality.
That's a great example, and I've find that as you get yourself out of your comfort zone, you constantly I want to use force, but for lack of better words, force change sometimes, or force things to fall differently than they would have excuse me, otherwise. Like, for example, for me, when I started this show, I was very, very timid, very afraid of my camera and my microphone. I still have a little bit of that in there, but 2 years into the show, it's no big deal anymore. But that brought up a whole nother level of discomfort and leadership and getting other people to get out of their comfort zone and step into those different roles and embrace them as who they are. So it's okay that they change, and you don't always have to be the same as you were 20 years ago. You as long as you're true to you evolve, you develop, you grow, and that's okay. A lot of people are still stuck in that. Well, what will they think of me? Or they might not like this if I do this, or things like that. So how do you help people with that, with the fear of what people think, and also the imposter
Yeah.
syndrome when it comes to stepping into leadership roles?
Yeah. So, a lot of that is just dealing with the mindset and where their mindset is rooted in. Like, what is it? Why are you afraid of what people think? What's that rooted in? Where did that fear come from? Right. A lot of the coaching is really just asking questions and making people do some deep dives into their own psyche, into their subconscious, bringing it forward into consciousness, and understanding that, what, that was in the past. This is a new me. This is a different me, and I can move forward. And because ultimately, if they're not paying your bills, why does it matter what they think about you? You know, if they're not, I mean, there's 7 billion people on the planet, right? And if 50 people don't like you, there's 6,999,000,000, right? 999,950, people that will have the potential to like you. And we're only able to keep 50 or 60 solid relationships anyways. There's no way that we can be friends with 1,000 people. So you can have acquaintances out the wazoo, but even if your acquaintances don't like you, do they respect you for the way that you stand up for yourself? That's important. I don't necessarily care if you like me, but I do want you to respect me because I'm stand my own ground, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I want you to respect my boundaries.
absolutely, and respect the fact that you are being true to yourself. If
Yeah,
and it's okay for, like you said, for people not to like you or to accept you. It's like, that's unfortunate, but I'm going to move on.
yeah.
And in some
I mean,
scenarios it's harder than others, but or maybe the relationship has to grow, whatever that is,
yeah.
work, personal, business, acquaintance, whatever. Why do
Yeah,
people not want to look into their past and find out where that fear is rooted in?
because we're comfortable where we are, right? This is comfortable. This is, this, I know this, right? I don't want to be stretched. Yeah, I don't want to be uncomfortable. And sometimes looking back into your past and remembering how you were picked on in school, or how you failed a major test, or you know your spouse left you, or whatever, it makes us uncomfortable to revisit the past, because we feel ill-equipped to process the past, right? Because we know we can't change it, right?
Uh-huh.
And so we just go, well, it happened, and I'm just going to stuff it and try to forget about it. But there's always something that you can learn from your past, right? There's things that I can learn about, podcast interview like this one, like even today, there's some things that I learned about, you know, different things. It's like, so going back and always evaluating your day, your week, your month, your year, um, evaluating it and looking at it, it's not a bad thing, right? You have to know where you've been in order to know where you're going, right? That's part of your story. Your story has power, and so we want to capitalize on that, and we want to understand what our roadblocks are, our obstacles. Where do our ants come from? Those automatic negative thoughts, because we all have them, right? What are our ants rooted in? How can I quit? How can I stop these ants from coming to my picnic that I call my life?
I
Because
like that.
I want to enjoy my life, right? I want to enjoy my life. I want to enjoy the banquet that is before me without these automatic negative thoughts coming in and trying to rob and steal. And for me, as a person of faith, I'm constantly think of things from a biblical perspective and the biblical worldview. And it's the enemy that comes to steal and kill and destroy. And a lot of times the enemy has taken up roots in our past, and it affects our outcomes and our belief in our future and our ability to come back and live the things that we're called to live and do. So for me, gosh, I don't even remember what the question was. Why do we not like to go back and do that work? Is because it makes us uncomfortable, and we don't, as humans, we don't like to be uncomfortable. We like to be comfortable, but your growth is just outside your comfort zone.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned that your past and your thoughts have power and stuff, but we often um, overthink or overlook the fact that we control that power. So if we let our past have the power to control us, then we're giving it that power. We're giving that power to our past.
Yes, and a lot of it is subconscious, right? We subconsciously cause ourselves to fail because we're afraid to fly, right? We're afraid that if we fly that we're going to fail, so we abort the flight plan before we ever even take off the ground, right? We're afraid to see the what ifs scare us, and so we stay comfortable. In coaching, in my coaching trainer said that we call that the terror barrier, right? Because what happens is when we encounter the terror barrier, our subconscious says, "Oh, you can't do this," and so our subconscious becomes like this thought of, "Oh, I can't do this," and so our thoughts turn into actions, and our actions turn into results. So you literally have to rewire your subconscious, because your subconscious just takes in everything that it's ever been told and believes it is truth. You're not good enough, you're not smart enough, or you'll never do this, or go get a real job, or whatever, right? Our subconscious says, "Oh, that's truth." Our conscious maybe go, "No, that's not true, I can do this," but we don't necessarily believe it. So what you have to do is you literally have to go back and rewire your consciousness. So an example from my life, if you don't mind me sharing.
Go for it.
I feel like I'm talking way too much. So, but from my life, when I was still involved in ministry, I was second guessing a lot of things that were going on in my life. And my coach at the time said, I just felt like I wasn't producing what they wanted. And my coach was like, "Why do you think that?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know." And I listed all the things, and he goes, "Well, do you have any proof to the contrary?" I was like, "Oh yeah, man, I'm always producing results. I'm always surprising them with what I do and how I make it happen, all that stuff." He goes, "So you're a producer then, aren't you?" And I was like, "Oh, absolutely." He goes, "So why are you worried about whether or not you feel like they're in alignment with your productivity?" I was like, "I don't know." And so I started telling myself I'm a producer every day. I'm like, I'm a producer. I get things done. And all of a sudden, those I literally had to just almost turn that into a mantra to help me overcome this fear that I wasn't delivering what they wanted, even though historically I was an amazing producer. I was breaking through walls. I was doing things. I was growing stuff. I was creating new endeavors and really just surprising everyone around me. But because there was a shift, my subconscious told me that I'd failed and I wasn't doing a good enough job. That's why they shifted me from one position to another. And so I had to wrestle with that, right? We all have to wrestle with those automatic negative thoughts and call them out as lies, recognizing that they're lies, and then speak the truth over and over and over and over again until that becomes the truth that our subconscious hears more than the lies.
Absolutely, and sometimes they're not even lies. It's just outdated. And I'll give you an example. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, whatever the timeline, VHS was the bomb diggity. It was
it beat
the
out
top
Beta.
of the line. And if you say that, it's not a lie per se. It's just an outdated statement. And some of those things are also outdated. Yes, this happened. This is who you were back then, or this is what happened then. And like you said, recognizing where the real truth is and where those ants are, and because sometimes it gets so muddled and blurry and mixed up and stuff that you got to really, are these really my thoughts, or are these something that I let someone put in 15 years ago or whatever, you know? So, and does it apply to me today like it used to, you know?
Yeah.
Excuse me. Another analogy that I love is this little story. Someone was cooking ham, and they cut the ends off the ham, and they called their mom. Mom, why do we cut the ends off the ham? I don't know. It's the way I've done it. Grandma did it for years while I was young. Okay, Grandma, why do we cut the ends off the ham? Oh, it just didn't fit in my pan.
Yeah.
You know, so it was applicable and made sense at the time for Grandma, but as things develop and you get a bigger pan, you get a bigger, better mindset and stuff, it's not applicable anymore. You know, so you got the power to go back and see where you're at, be honest with yourself, see where you're at, and make those changes. And okay, this is not me anymore. This is who I was. This is what I've learned, but this is not me anymore. This is who I am now. So thank you for sharing that and bringing that up.
Yeah, man, I love those analogies and that stories you share. That's great.
Oh, yeah, thank you. You mentioned the coaching that you do. Where can people get a hold of you?
Mm-hmm. Oh, goodness. Well, I've got my website, of course, nobleleadershipsolutions.com. But the quickest way to reach me is probably through Facebook and, you know, Instagram, Twitter, those kind of things. I mean, you can do it through the website, but who uses websites anymore? We just kind of have it as a static space in the atmosphere, right? But yeah, you know, I post a lot on Facebook. I have a complimentary leadership mentorship group in Facebook that, you know, you and your audience are more than welcome to be a part of. I'm launching a mastermind soon, but you can find me on almost every social media platform at the Ken Noble, TheKenNoble. So I'm pretty easy to find. My phone number is on my website. So if you guys want to set up a call, we can book a call, whatever. Anything I can do to add value to your audience. That's what I'm here for.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. I love talking about the mindset and the leadership and, you know, really starting with yourself, because John Maxwell is great. You know, Tony Robbins, Ed Milet, whoever you resonate with, and you can put them in front of you and have them talk until they're blue in the face and the cows come home. But if you don't lead yourself to take those steps, it doesn't do a darn thing.
Nope.
So
not at all.
I love how we have started and talked about going back into your own mindset and taking that first step of leadership within yourself. So thank you for saying that. And thank you for being here. It's been an awesome conversation. Please, everybody, go to his website, go to his social media, set up a call. Excuse me.
Absolutely.
And get to learn more about what he's got going on, that mastermind he said. And as always, thank you for tuning in. And remember to live your passion, fulfill your purpose, and explore those possibilities.
Fantastic.
We'll see you next time.